been very excited. I've been very, very excited. Been highly anticipating a bout that's coming up. Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. Some of you may have not known that this was going to happen, but in case you didn't, Mike Tyson is going to box Jake Paul, and I'm excited more for the spectacle than the actual fight. I don't know what's going to happen in the fight exactly, but it is one of the wildest encounters of two people punching each other that you could have ever imagined. Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, a star, a bona fide star globally of the 80s, fighting one of the most popular influencers that the modern era has to offer. And it just feels like somehow the 80s are fighting the 20s. Do you know what I mean? Like, Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul feels like Sylvester Stallone versus Liam Hemsworth. It's like, you're just kind of like, what? How? How are they even close enough in age to have anything to argue about? Oh, this is crazy. If you don't know Mike Tyson, I know that some people are too young to have like really watched him fight. I'm too young to have like remembered those fights live. Some of them I wasn't even around for, but I watched the tape and it's devastating. Mike Tyson is one of the most bona fide terrifying people. You know what I mean? Some of the things that Mike Tyson would just say, I'd be like, oh, to even think it, you must be willing to do it. Do you know? Like there was a press conference one time where Mike Tyson was sitting there and he's like, this thing, I don't think these guys understand. I'm not here to just box. I'm not here to fight or anything. I'm trying to take their health. Sir. The question was, what has your preparation been for this match? Mike Tyson he's like an embodiment of like everything like fierce, violent, and dangerous in one person that also very much loves birds. And what's wild about Mike Tyson is that from the time that he was young, right, to present, he had taken a genuine, not only interest, but maybe an obsession with the way that the world works, understanding oneself and understanding the world and how who you are applies to the world, right? So he said some of the most fascinating things around Alexander the Great, around conquerors, around kings, around how to win a mental battle as well as like a physical one, how war works. He has such an understanding of the world. And then he says other things. Other things that are so scary that you're like, sir, just shoot me. Don't want to have to deal with this, you know? And a lot of it bleeds together because it's not my time, right? I'm not like from that era, but you watch these old compilations of press conferences and interviews and post-fight interviews with Mike Tyson. I was scared for the reporter. Because you have a man who's been training to basically kill a man with his fists, even if it took him 12 rounds. and it took half of one. So by the time you interview him, he's still got a lot of energy. There was one time they were trying to interview Mike Tyson after a fight. They're in the ring with him. They're putting the mic in his face and everything. And he's so amped and he's talking. He's like, y'all don't understand. Like I'm from Sonny Liston's cloth. I'm the most fierce. And he starts describing not just who he is as a boxer, but his training and everything. And then at the end of it, he goes, I don't know, man. What? And I think if I had been the reporter, I'd also be like, nothing. I didn't say anything. Don't worry about me. Mike Tyson press conference was a master class in psychological warfare. He would say things that had you thinking like, oh man, this dude's like out of his mind. Or this dude really wants to kill me and I don't know him. That's gotta be tough as a fighter, to sign up for a fight. And you know we both fight. But one of us loves fighting. And we both like it, that's why we do it, and we're both good at it, that's why we do it. But one of us is so excited to hit, they don't care if they get hit. It's a very different person. Do you know what I mean? Even when you're mad, even when you're angry, and you're like, that's it, let's fight. You're trying to get the aggression out, and you want to hurt the other person. And yeah, maybe you're willing to take a few punches, but you aren't in a fight loving getting hit just so you can give a hit. It takes a different type of person, and Mike is a different type of person. You know? When you look at where Mike Tyson comes from, it's astounding that he made it to where he was. You know, Mike Tyson comes from Brooklyn, was in Bed-Stuy, and then at a young age moves to Bronzeville, and is devastating because it's not the Brooklyn that you know now. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't. There were no cupcake shops. It was Brooklyn in a way that was, let's say the property would be cheap, all right? Like if you were trying to buy, all right? Devastating conditions. And he talks about how there was just, you couldn't even go to the bathroom inside sometimes where they were staying and stuff. And all that stuff can make a hardened person. Because he didn't just have to live in certain conditions. He had conditions waiting for him when he got outside. He talked about it. He had to fight. He had to fight all the time. He had to be ready to be tough all the time. People will test you all the time, right? He talked about his first fight. Because like I said, Mike Tyson loves birds. It's truly one of the sweetest things about him. It's one of the things that like gives you a glimpse into the humanity of a person that's only known as being this fierce beast, right? Loving these birds, being gentle with them, caring for them, spending time with them, you know? Really taking care of them. And when he was a kid, there was a kid who took his bird. And he was like, give it back, give it back, give it back. And give it back, I think give it back genuinely in the way that a kid is asking you earnestly from the bottom of their heart, no, please, give it back, right? And that kid killed that bird in front of him. And then Mike Tyson, I'm assuming, killed that kid because he at least let him remember what would happen. And Mike would get into trouble, and it's easy to say, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this, right? All those things can be true. Obviously, you shouldn't be robbing people, you shouldn't be selling stuff, you shouldn't be out here with these people who are on a bad path and everything. But when you have what looks like no other option from those things, how can you expect someone to just know? You drive down the path that's been paved, you know? And so he ends up in like detention centers and stuff like that. And at one point, Mike Tyson meets Cus D'Amato. Customato sees him, and immediately he knows. He knows this kid is special, and he's different. And not only just because he's built different, not only because he's big for his age, there's just something about him. And he gets the opportunity to like box a little bit. He goes to the gym, he's hitting bags and stuff, spars a little bit. And Customato sees something in him. And after sparring, as the story goes, they ask this kid who's just sparred with some grown men, how old are you? And then Mike goes, I'm 13. And then these grown men look at each other and go, this nigga at least 30. Like, there's no way. You better put a 0 behind that 13. That's, what? 13. And Customato, to my knowledge, actually adopts Mike Tyson. Takes him into his home, right? Not just to train him, but to care for him, to love him. Because all this energy, all this fierce potential can really go somewhere if you nurture it, right? And then under Customato's leadership, Mike Tyson does become as fierce of a person as Customato thinks he can be in the ring. And Cus believed in him before he believed in himself. I think that's why their friendship, that mentorship is like, when you see it, there's something special about it. Because anyone who sees anything in any of us and pulls it out of you, right, just with their belief, that's a very special thing. And the only people that wish Customato hadn't done what he did are probably Mike's opponents. Because Mike would have fights that were so damn fast. You can see it even in the video, even in some of the amateur fights that were actually on video. You can see in the opponent where they were like, does he have a hammer? What is he doing? That really hurt. No. And then Mike gets older. Mike becomes world champion. Youngest world champion, right? In there with a boxer with real experience, who's also a special fighter, right? But Mike hits him in a way that maybe he's never been hit before. And if you go back and you watch the video of this knockout, I shouldn't laugh, but Mike didn't just knock this dude out. Like, he didn't knock him out cold, right? This dude gets knocked down again, and he's trying to get up, and you can tell that his body is like, dog, we done. Don't. No. You know, like when you're in a bar fighting, your buddies hold you back? That was that guy's whole body. Like, you can even hear the announcer be like, oh, he's fighting to get up, but his body won't let him, because his body is like, parts of him that didn't get hit. This dude got hit in his head and the chin, and even his feet and his knees and his hips were like, look, if you ever want to speak to us again, don't stack us up on top of each other right now. You need to sit down. And then Mike Tyson becomes world champion. He becomes everything that Customato thought he could be. He becomes everything that he knew he was, right? It's a beautiful moment. And then it's important when you think of Mike Tyson to understand that Mike Tyson is America. A lot of Mike Tyson's story is how America works, right? There are parts of this country that if you travel to, you'll think you're in another country for how poor they are, how broken, the conditions that people are living in. You know, it looks like the developing world in some parts of America, and we don't like to talk about it. We especially don't like to take care of those people because it means we have to really look at ourselves to do it. But there are people that come out of those conditions that build themselves up into something that no one else could have imagined based on where they started, right? Mike Tyson is just like America. Mike Tyson is fierce, fearsome, you know, incredibly violent. People in other countries look at America the way that we look at Mike Tyson. Genuinely, if you travel, and I mean really travel, I'm not talking about just go to the tourist spots and the places that are popular to go. If you really travel and you know world history and you go to a place and you ask them about America, right? A country that we've attacked before, you know? They look at us like we have a tattoo on our face. Mike Tyson, builds himself up, and he doesn't just get the world championship. He has some very, very impressive fights where you can average his whole fight time out to like maybe a round and a half. He's beating people so fast it's actually upsetting the crowd. I know people who paid a lot of money to go to a Mike Tyson fight and went in the bathroom at the wrong time. Sit there the whole fight card holding it, and then you're like, oh, he's only walking out, I got a second. And then from the bathroom you hear, oh. You're like, oh no. I mean, then Mike goes down a downward spiral. He loses Customato. He loses this person that was a mentor, that was a friend. You know? And he tries to find his way, but he's still very young. People forget how young he was when he was Mike, when he was Iron Mike, and he was fearless and he was undefeated, and starts, getting lost in it. And he'll tell you that. He's talked about that. He got lost, right? Goes to jail at one point. Like, this dude is on a dark path, And even, this is attributed to Mike Tyson. I don't know if he actually said it like this, but he was like, I was a baby. And you gave me millions of dollars to punch people in the face. And you didn't think this was going to go off the rails somehow? Like, you didn't think that this was a bad idea, maybe? No. That's who's fighting. This guy who's relentless, So much fear. Imagine you're in the ring with Mike Tyson and he won't stop staring. Just the face-off, just watching the face-off, you would see it in his eyes. He's like, I would very much like to hurt someone today. And legally, it's you. And he was fast, and his movements were jerky, but they were quick, and they clearly hurt, because some very big men did not get up. He would hit people so hard sometimes that you'd be like, I think that guy's dead. And then he'd twitch, you'd be like, he's all right. That's who's fighting. And then you have Jake Paul. One thing people need to understand about Jake Paul, if you don't, he's very much, we are in Jake Paul's time. Whether we like it when I say that or not, he's having his Mike Tyson moments right now. World famous around the world. People tune in from around the world. They watch his fights. They watch his YouTube videos. This dude is a true bona fide star, right? And we can argue about if he's as popular as Mike was back then and why the internet is different, but he is very popular. And he loved boxing. He feels like boxing saved him. That's something similar that he has with Mike, because this kid, he got a camera from his dad, him and his brother, when they were young, and it was to film themselves while they were doing football so that they could improve, right? Which I don't know how that works. I don't play enough football. Like, if I did that and tried to tape myself playing football to improve, I think I would just be like, this is where I got hit. And this is when I hit the ground. I think that's all I did. I don't know was that right? Is that how you do it? And so him and his brother start making videos, like little YouTube videos, whatever. They're putting them online. They're getting some looks every now and again. But then Vine came out. And if you don't know what Vine is like TikTok granddaddy. And they start making Vines, and they get very popular almost overnight. They are huge on Vine. Everybody thinks they're funny, and they love to follow them. They want to know what they're doing next. They're getting all this money, endorsements, everything. At one point, Jake Paul is on the Disney Channel. I don't really know what he was doing, but it was quick. And then they start posting on YouTube, and they start getting millions of subscribers on YouTube. These kids are bona fide popular, and they understand something that maybe the rest of us just don't, and that's why they are where they are. They understand internet culture. They understand marketing and business. They understand the way that the world is turning, right? And it's the age of the influencer, right? And A lot of people want to be influencers. Some people don't want to be. You can accidentally become famous, and that's a terrifying thing. You become famous in a way that you really didn't mean to, you know? You're just living your life. But somebody puts a cell phone on you, or you don't know you're in someone's shot, and you trip weird, and you go, and now you're, like that's who you are as a guy. And then people see you in the world, and they're like, hey, we love you, dude, we love, that's our favorite. Man, keep killing it, dog, keep killing it. But before you know it, just one thing, just one meme, just one moment catapults you to this level of fame that no person can be prepared for. Whether you're Mike Tyson in the 80s or you're Jake Paul now, people don't understand that like fame that you weren't even trying to get can mess with your mind, right? And so Jake Paul was on a dark path as well. He was probably headed for a bad place, and then he started boxing and he loved it. And boxing to a degree saved him. And so he's out here boxing, you know? And at first he starts fighting like YouTubers, like fellow YouTubers, because that garners attention. Because sometimes you see two people who don't like each other and you're like, man, it would be kind of funny if they fought. And this is the thing about us. We as people love a fight. Whether we like to admit that about ourselves or not, we love a fight. I've been walking down the street and seeing kids on the park sinking threes from far away, Steph Curry level, right? And I'm like impressed, and I maybe watch him do two more, and then I'm like, he's getting it in. He'll be fine. But if I see a fight in the park, I stop. Because I'm wondering, you know? But no, we're in this age where I think people sometimes want to be famous more than they want to do something. You know, and that's where you get some of these things, some of these imitators of Jake Paul, of Logan Paul and stuff like that. There was a kid whose story, like, it blew my mind. Basically, there was this kid doing these pranks, and they were like barely pranks. It was just being obnoxious. It was just being like horrible to people and messing with people to try to get a reaction out of them. Because not only are we the new like influencers, everyone, all of us, all the time, it could happen to any one of us, but because of how people become influencers, because of how people get popular, they are our paparazzi now. You're just living your life, but now you're in someone's video and they're trying to make you act a certain way. That's not what we signed up for, you know? You should at least be rich to have that happen. And so this kid was making this video, and he was messing with this guy in the mall, and he was following him around. And he was just like, not just being annoying. He seemed like to also be intimidating him a little bit. And he was really following him, trying to get him to answer some question or something. And finally, this little guy, he's like a very small guy, and he did not look well, right? He finally goes, stop, stop, stop. And then he pulled out a gun and shot him. And I am praying that's not him. This dude pulls out a gun and he shot him. There's this loud bang in the mall and people start screaming and running and everything. But from the vantage point of like the person who, because he posted it himself, the kid, the influencer who was making the prank video, posts the thing and he's coming at him and the guy's like, stop, 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 bang. And then as soon as you hear the bang, this kid, the prankster goes, oh! And to be fair, there's no cool way to get shot. But he goes, oh! And he hits the ground, and that guy walks off, and obviously he gets arrested and everything. They explain the situation. I believe he got released. And then this kid goes to the hospital. He's fine, right? He's fine. He got shot in the side, and he's fine. But when they ask him about it, they ask him, how he feels about the fact that this thing happened. Like, is it change how he's going to make content? He got more followers from it happening because it got on the news and people wanted to see the kid that got shot, and they wanted to see the other stuff that he did. So he did get more popular, right? And they wondered how he felt towards the gunman. This guy shot you and you were being annoying, but did you deserve to be shot, right? And then this kid sitting in his hospital bed, his dad, by the way, is furious. His dad is like, there are people saying my son deserved to be shot. My son's just a kid, right? And this kid sitting in his hospital bed, when he's asked these questions, goes, it is what it is, dog. Like, which I can't tell, is that a good attitude about it? But it lets me know it's not just a few people. It's not just a few individuals. We're in an age, and it's an age of if I can be popular, maybe I can be safe, maybe I can be liked, maybe I can be something, whatever it is. But it's apparently worth being shot over for some people. And make no mistake, Jake Paul is America. I don't know how it feels to have me say that, but Jake Paul is America. A lot of what America embodies is what Jake Paul is, right? America is business, usually business first. We can worry about being a country later. It's business, and it's fame, and it's money, and it's influence, right? You go to some of these backdoor meetings that some of these world leaders have when America convinces them to do something. We don't know how they do it. Maybe it's with money. Maybe it's with other things. Maybe they're like, hey, look, we'd hate for something to happen to your whole island. Influence. See what I mean? And so now you have these two boxing, and people don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, there are people that want Mike Tyson to hurt Jake Paul very badly. And then there are people who just want to see a fight. They just want to see what it would look like. You know what I mean? They just want to see what it would look like if, like, that guy from The Breakfast Club fought Timothy Chalamet. Like, just... They just want to see two generations go at it. You know? Because let's be honest, it's an odd fight. You know, Jake Paul has fought former MMA fighters. He's fought former NBA players. He's fought YouTubers. He's fought one established boxer, maybe two pro boxers that I know of, right? Because I don't know his entire record. But he said that the thing that made him do this, the thing that made him push for it and create it, was he did some ayahuasca. And when he did the ayahuasca, he said he saw himself fighting Mike Tyson. And if I'm being honest, taking ayahuasca and seeing yourself fighting Mike Tyson sounds like something Mike Tyson would say doing ayahuasca. Like, I could more clearly see Mike Tyson doing ayahuasca, and he's like, I saw myself fighting Jake Paul. I don't know, man. I had to think to myself, you know, if I did ayahuasca and I saw myself fighting Mike Tyson, I'd probably have to sit back and be like, maybe heroin's the answer. Like, I don't know. This ayahuasca is not it for me. No, thank you. You know? And so, as soon as he had that vision, though, he put it into motion. And that's the marketer, that's the businessman, that's the promoter in Jake Paul. He saw this thing and he had to create it. That's also America, by the way. You go to other countries and you're like, oh, I have this big dream of doing this thing. A lot of countries are set in their ways, right? America is properly crazy. We'll let you do anything. fundamentally. And so now they have a press conference. They're together, and Jake Paul's very good at being the heel, you know what I mean? But it's hard to be the heel when you're fighting Mike Tyson. Like, people might be booing you, but he's saying truly upsetting things. Mike Tyson was in a press conference one time, and he was like, look, all I want is for his kids to be watching us fight and see me beat them so bad that they're like, Daddy, no. Hearing Mike Tyson quotes out loud genuinely makes me want to learn Tai Chi. So in case I ever come across Mike Tyson, I can look like I'm about to fight him while also backing up. Like, and some people think that the fight's just a spectacle. Some people think it's a real fight. There are kids who think Jake Paul's got to beat Mike Tyson, right? Jake Paul's a great boxer. Let's see it happen. I'm so excited to see Jake Paul whoop this guy. There really are both sides to this thing. And it's going to be on Netflix, which who knows if that's a mistake. Do you know what I mean? Who knows if they fight and then one of them dies and we're just sitting there like, so... Are we accomplices, or just sitting there, stoic, don't know what to do next, and Netflix is like, are you still watching? Not now, man. You know? And it's a gamble as well. It's a gamble. Is one of the biggest gambles we've seen, because Mike Tyson is, to some degree, putting his legacy on the line. He's one of the most fierce fighters that's ever lived. People talk about Ali and Tyson. When they talk about boxing, they don't really know anything about it. You know those names. And then Jake Paul's putting something on the line, too. It's like, I had this idea, I had this dream of fighting Mike Tyson, and maybe I'm just out of my mind and I'm going to be hurt very badly. And Netflix is putting something on the line because it's like, will people watch? Will someone die? It's a genuine gamble. And if America is anything, it's a proper gamble. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we do. I don't know. I admire an aspect of what Jake is doing, because Jake loves boxing. And no one will probably ever give him credit for it, but he is revitalizing a part of boxing. People talk about boxing a little bit more now because of the popularity that he brings in, the new kids that he brings in, and he's putting himself on the line because he loves boxing. And that, to me, is wild. Like, I love hip-hop, but I wouldn't try to battle Kendrick Lamar. Like, listen to more music, because I think that, obviously, it's important to read, it's important to talk to people, but I think music has a special place where you can learn something. Sometimes there's something that you can get from music that you just cannot get anywhere else. It doesn't hit the same through spoken word, doesn't hit the same way through prose, through reading it, because I think whether it's melody or it's rhythm, there's something that you open yourself up to when there's music that you wouldn't if there wasn't. Like, it's a hard thing to explain sometimes, but there are little things that are written that stick with me. But then sometimes there's things that are just sung. And maybe it's just because of the way it's sung or something. I like that lyric. Let me think about that more. And then you chew on an idea, right? Music is incredibly powerful. Like, I think about back in Louisiana, I know somebody who, she divorced her husband with a singing telegram. Now, you can already imagine how different it hits to maybe be at a dinner and demand a divorce. I'm sick of this. I'm tired of you. I'm always putting up with the same stuff. I want a divorce. You know what I mean? Your server is like, so
no dessert. Or even if you just write someone a letter, they're sitting at home reading this letter in this unsealed envelope. They're just sitting there reading it like, what? But to have a singing telegram show up, knock on your door, be hitting the music, little stereo, standing there. Beat starts, they're just, I am your singing telegram. And then they give you the worst news of your life. Dancing to it, too. She doesn't want to see you anymore. You become a bore. She wants a divorce. And putting his hand out for a tip. Music hits different. I think sometimes one of the most beautiful ways to remember somebody that you lost is through music. Sometimes you'll tell a story or something, and if the story doesn't hold a significance for a person, it just doesn't. They don't capture the thing that you captured when you talked to them or when the story happened. Maybe you had to be there, maybe you had to know the person. But when somebody leaves a song behind, that's like timeless in a way. We lost a very important person, legendary person. We lost Quincy Jones, right? And if you don't know who Quincy Jones is, just educate yourself. Quincy Jones is not just a legend, an icon of culture, of music, but something deeper, like understood. Quincy understood people, understood music, understood storytelling, right? Quincy was one of the master collaborators. There were people that you love and you love their work and you don't know Quincy's in it. Like that. It's that way with Michael Jackson. Quincy and Michael Jackson had major hits. Michael Jackson owed some of his biggest hits to his collaborations with Quincy Jones because Quincy could help pull out the best parts of the person that he was collaborating with. And there's even stories. There's legendary stories that Quincy Jones has told. More stories than I could ever even attempt to describe. Like crazy stuff. This man lived one of the most remarkable lives in American history. And there's stories that are so insane that Quincy's like not even in the story, but he's in the story. Like he's not even a part of the story, but the story came together because of Quincy. As an example, I heard this story. It's a little bit less than a rumor, but a part of me wants it to be true because it's fantastic. Quincy had daughters. Quincy's daughters were, one of them was Khadijah, and at one point Khadijah apparently was dating Tupac, right? And this still blows my mind. So Tupac, through potential collaborations that they were supposed to do, knows Michael Jackson, right? Michael Jackson obviously knows Quincy Jones from the hits that they made together and everything. But there's this one time when Tupac was leaving somewhere with Khadijah, like I don't know if it was like a dance club or something like that, but they were having an argument. And you know one of those arguments that you see where you're like, I don't know, is this bad? This is like, like as a couple when you see them, and maybe it was that whisper fight, and that thing that couples do. It's like, I'm just. That's a big one at restaurants, Oh yeah, you ever date somebody that could curse you out with those whispers? They hitting all the F's. Nobody hears, but. And if you passing by, I don't know, is this a bad fight? Who knows? Or maybe they were having a screaming match. It doesn't seem like it because it seemed like kind of one-sided. Like Tupac was very annoyed with Khadijah trying to get her to come along and everything. And we've all been in a situation, if you've just been out, where you've seen a couple argue and you're like, is this bad? Do you know what I mean? Like you've been in a Walmart parking lot. Where you were like, is this just how they talk to each other? Or like, should I step in or something? Because this is uncomfortable. And I'm not picking on Walmart. I've been to a Golden Corral and just waiting to be seated, and you're like, all right, they about to eat together? That doesn't seem like a happy occasion. And so, Tupac was saying something tantamount to like, come on, girl, hurry up, come on, right? But they're leaving as Michael Jackson is coming in, and Michael Jackson sees this. And so he approaches Tupac because of the closeness that he has with Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones' daughters are like Tupac's nieces to a certain degree. It's like that with any close friendship, This is your uncle. Well, we're not related, but that's your uncle, right? And he says, hey, is everything okay? I don't like how you're talking to her. You need to chill out. You need to calm down, right? And then Tupac apparently says to Mike, hey, back up, all right? This is none of your business. Be about your way, all right? And then Michael's like, no, you don't understand. This is pretty much my niece. You're not going to talk to her any type of way, especially in public. You need to calm down, right? And then tells him again, you need to back up. You need to back off, right? And then according to the story, Michael Jackson beat Tupac's ass. I know how it sounds. But this is my thing. When I look at Tupac, I look at Michael Jackson, I can't help but wonder if the two of them, in a way, are like the inverse of each other. Because we've seen from footage of this person that Tupac is, right? This incredibly adept poet, this person who pulls the tenderness out of horrific things and expresses that tenderness back through music or just through written word. That type of poet, that person is in some ways a sensitive person, like a sensitive soul. Maybe not soft, maybe not, but there's someone who clearly has a sensitive side that they can access. And I think that a lot of like thug life, a lot of the street stuff, some of that is to sell records. Some of that he was really living. But you can't help but wonder how much of this persona is a persona to sell, to market, and how much of this is actually him. Because what if, when no one's around, behind closed doors, when you're just chilling, this guy is a sweetheart, sensitive person. It's what's been said about him through people who knew him. And you look at Michael Jackson. We know Michael Jackson was abused horribly. Joe Jackson beat those kids. And you go through your life like that with abuse, it can harden a person. And maybe behind closed doors, when no one was around, maybe Mike was like a little bit more hardened than we'd like to believe. So imagine that. You're fighting Michael Jackson. It's gotta be upsetting. I can't imagine trying to fight Michael Jackson, the king of pop. I can't imagine him fighting without doing moves for no reason. Imagine trying to fight Michael Jackson and he punch you, but he moving his leg. The leg not involved in the punch. You have the king of pop, right? And you have Tupac. Tupac is on the Everest of hip hop, right? Tupac, for better or for worse, created an entire lane of hip hop that people went down and either created some of the best artistry that I think personally has been known to man musically, and then some people who leaned into the street side a little too much and it just became something destructive. But Tupac is up there. And Tupac is who you would imagine would be beating on anybody, right? I'm not saying Tupac couldn't fight. All I will say is that the one fight that I saw Tupac in is the one that we can all see him in. It's the night that he was fighting with those dudes in Vegas. A bunch of guys on his side, guys on the other side, everybody getting beat. I'm not saying Tupac couldn't fight. I'm saying the way that I saw him fighting in that video looked like the way all of us might try to double dutch. Do you know what I mean? Because there was a big cartoonish scuffle, just feet in the air, fists out of the, you know what I mean? Just like, you know, like with those Looney Tunes smoke clouds of fights and everything. And Tupac was outside of it, and you could tell he was trying to find his place. He was like, and now, you're fighting Michael Jackson. Someone so horrifically coordinated. He hitting you and then pop it and lock it. Doing all these extra moves and stuff. Michael Jackson probably the only person in human history that could be beating somebody's ass and sound like he getting beat at the same time. Just, he punching you, kicking you, and then he the one be like, ow! Be mad as hell. You trying to fight Michael Jackson. You trying to swing on him and everything. And every time you think you really got a good one, you planned it out, you know, the fist is gonna go in his face and I'm swinging with all your might. And then he just doing these dumbass leans. It's gotta be terrifying. Trying to fight Michael Jackson, he got enough cardio to dance for 3 concerts. You know, and he thin too, so he hard to hit, he moving off. You swinging at him, he's saying stuff to you, words that don't make any sense. Tamagotchi. What am I supposed to do? Whispering to you. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, especially if you have a fondness for a person, there's at least rumor that there are these tracks that got scrapped between Michael Jackson and Tupac. They were supposed to be on some songs together, right? So it's not as if they didn't know each other. And now imagine, you know this person. And you don't want to hurt them. They were talking disrespectfully to someone else that you love, and maybe they pushed you first, and now you're fighting, and then, you know, you hit them, and you hit them hard. You hit them real good. Now Tupac bent over and everything. God. Michael Jackson, I don't even want to say it, but he's like, are you okay? You know, the way I imagine it, Tupac gathered himself and was like, no, I'm not done. I can't go out like this. And he just went back in, you know, swinging at him and everything. And then Michael Jackson went to kicking. And that, even when Michael Jackson was dancing, he wouldn't kick normal. He was never just like doing a kick. It was always like his leg was gonna come off. The whole kick. And now you stand there, you've been kicked 17 times, you still standing up, got all these footprints on you, like you got run over at a marathon or something. Your friends roll up to you, and now you gotta be like, It was 6 of them. They came out of nowhere. They all had the same shoe on. Oh. This is brutal. You know what I mean? Imagine you fighting somebody you respect, too. You gotta fight one of your heroes. It's unnerving. Beating you up. Fixing his hat for no reason. Because hearing about this fight, hearing about this rumor, reminded me of a different rumor that I heard about Michael Jackson. Something that, I don't know. I mean, it's you can take it or leave it. I don't know. It's something that I believed for a little while because of who was saying it. But basically, Michael Jackson had such a passion for the specific art that he was doing. Not just the music, not just the spectacle, but just the whole thing. So much so that he would let it spill off stage, and all of it became a persona, all of it became a presentation, performance, almost all the time. And one of the ways that it presented itself was not just in how he dressed and how he looked and stuff, but also how he spoke. Because there's an idea that if you can be meek enough, if you could be gentle enough, if you could be soft-spoken enough, that people's perceptions of you will almost pass past you and just see the music. If you're not this big, larger-than-life character, if you're not getting in trouble all the time, maybe if people can just see me as this, like, the same kid that they fell in love with, now just making bigger and better things, maybe they'll love the bigger and better things I have to make, right? And so there's a rumor from a few different people who knew Mike well, who would chill with him, sometimes just out by themselves, when there was no risk of being seen by the public. And they said that that voice, the voice that we know as Michael Jackson, the voice that's been, imitated over decades, was not his voice. That's what they said, that if you were hanging out with Michael Jackson, you just chilling with him at his house, he actually had a way more like level register than that, which is something that shocked me, because I was like, wow, imagine putting that much into a performance, that it's like off stage and it's everywhere, and it's everyone that you meet, you're shaking hands with people, you're meeting people, and that's still not quite you. You're still putting it on a little bit, right? But now imagine you're fighting Michael Jackson. And not only is he beating your ass, but every once in a while he's like, come here, bitch. Like, that's gotta be maybe the most shocking part. I don't know what I would do. You're fighting Michael Jackson, and he's making 3 different noises at the same time. He got a low one, he got a high one. He's saying weird stuff. Not only do you have to fight Michael Jackson, you got to fight a possessed version of Michael Jackson, I'm assuming, because you've never heard him talk like this. No. That's one of the funniest images I have in my head, is Michael Jackson punching you in your forehead, and they'd be like, what's up, nigga? Like, no, what's really hood, dog? What's really... Imagine, and you're Tupac, you're getting beat, presumably in front of some people, by Michael Jackson. At a certain point, you gotta be like, guys, somebody must have a gun. Shoot this man. Even if you try to shoot him, Michael Jackson probably like catching the bullets. Well, maybe he knocks you down. You laying on the ground. You ever seen somebody get beat? I know I'm digressing to digress, but like this, you ever see somebody get beat up real bad, and all of a sudden it's almost like they have a cold or something because they start coughing? It's like they get punched a couple times, they're like, and then Michael Jackson rolls you over with his foot, walks around you all disrespectful, just fixing his belt and stuff. He's standing over you. You don't know what's about to happen next. You don't know if he's gonna curb dance you or... You're waiting for him. Is Michael Jackson gonna kill me? And he's looking down at you. Maybe you even try to get up one more time. Maybe you got a little fight left. I can't go out like this. I have Thug Life tattooed on me. Give it all you got. You swinging at Michael Jackson. You kicking at him and stuff. And you got to worry about extra. You got to worry about like extra things with Mike. You got to worry about his kicks, his punches. You also got to worry about his pelvis. He also moving that all weird and stuff. Imagine somebody punching at you and then just... I don't know what to do with that. It's very upsetting. Michael Jackson punches you down to the ground again. You hit the ground. You're like, this is it. He's going to kill me. And he's standing over you, towering over you. And when you're waiting for him to hit you with that death blow, he just goes, I don't know. It probably didn't happen, but it's fun to dream.